just found out you need some kind of physical therapy or speech therapy or occupational therapy, and you haven't a clue where to go or what to do. And maybe your biggest challenge is going to be that you don't drive, it's very difficult to get in and out of a car. How are you going to even get there? Well, don't worry about it, because you know what? We have a great solution for you today. So if you want to know more about this, just stay tuned. Hey everyone, and welcome to Scan FYI. Yeah, we're going to talk about an interesting topic today, and my guest today is Loralee Cangialosi. She is from Fox Rehabilitation. Loralee, thanks for being my guest.
I'm so honored to be here, Andrea. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Before we even get into anything, why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about you and what is your role at Fox?
Absolutely. So I'm an occupational therapist by trade. I actually started in pediatrics way back when. Uh, Treated for about 5 years. Never thought I'd work with the adult population until my grandmother had an injury and I was visiting some of her sessions, and decided to take a look into adult rehab, specifically treating individuals in the home. It was something that was new to me. I thought it was extremely valuable for both the patients and myself as a clinician. And what better way to learn than in a natural environment,
Right.
to be able to be successful. That was really meaningful to me. And I found my patients over time as well. So I treated with Fox for about 5 years before switching into an account manager role, which is what I do now. And I've been doing this covering Monmouth County for about 5 years, but Fox is in 36 states and counting now. And we are all over the New Jersey area, but specifically we have a heavy presence in Monmouth and Ocean, which is so nice. It's been a wonderful thing getting to know Scan,
Oh,
getting to
thank you.
see, yeah, the resources that you guys provide.
Well, SCAN is all about resources and public education. And, as I started to say earlier, a little bit about for some people, they found out they need to go for some sort of rehab. And let's just talk about the transportation issue, because Fox is unique in that you come to someone's home. And for some people, getting to wherever you have to go is the biggest challenge of all.
Absolutely. I think something that's unique about Fox is that you do not have to be homebound in order to have services in the home. And that's something different than a traditional home service, like through Medicare A, like a visiting nurse or a
Right.
Meridian at home in our area. People are, I think, more aware that that's an option post hospital discharge or something that happens where a nurse and therapy can come into the home. We're strictly therapy, but it's an option for someone if you do access the community. Just to get there is one thing, but to get to a facility multiple times a week, especially if you're having a hard time, let's say, getting up, getting dressed, and getting into and out of a home and a car and another door in order to get
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
rehab is a lot. And that in itself can be so overwhelming. Many often feel anxious getting ready for therapy. And then you have to be expected to do the work that's going to benefit you and make you successful through an injury or a change of status. So it is a nice option for individuals.
Because I do feel that, among some people that we know from Scan, where they've said, I just can't get there. And so therefore they don't take advantage of this needed therapy. And then your health journey is kind of stunted because you needed this. But I get it.
Absolutely.
I totally get it. And by the way, as you're listening, all of Laura information, contact info, and all the information how to reach out to Fox if you want more information, it'll will all be in the description. So, let's just talk about. So there's most people know about physical therapy. Not everyone understands what occupational therapy is. It's not about your occupation. I think that's the first thing people think about. So could you just talk about the different therapies that Fox offers?
Absolutely. So, physical, like you said, physical therapy, traditional physical therapy, often we think gait, balance, maybe some vestibular issues that you might be addressing, transfers up and down from chairs, if a new accommodation is provided, like a cane or a walker or a wheelchair, learning how to transition out of that. OT is such a nice complement to PT. They often, yes, they're different fields, but they work on the whole body. But OT really focuses on activities of daily living. So
Right.
often people will say, well, I can get up and I can get dressed and I can take care of myself. But it's all of those little transfers within those activities. Maybe you can make a simple meal for yourself, but what about the standing balance that's required to do something greater if that's a
Right.
goal for you? It's really, our treatment is really goal oriented, and that's how we establish a plan of care. And I think occupational therapy, it really takes into account those activities that are most meaningful to an individual, no matter what that means to you. You know, in pediatrics, it was a student. In, the older population, it might be, being able to sit for an extended period of time and partake in an activity that might require fine motor skills or sitting balance, or something that has greater coordination, some sort of, physical activity, or just the everyday things, putting on a coat when you have standing balance issues,
Or
reaching
maybe
back.
you've got a problem with your arm or,
Exactly.
mobility. Yeah, that can be
Exactly. So
very
I hate to say
challenging.
like upper body, lower body, because a lot of people think of it that way, but the whole body is involved in these tasks. The concentration is a little different from one discipline to the next. But yes, as we age, we're combating that. Doesn't mean we have to stop doing what we love to do. It's just how can I be successful now that I might have less range of motion here? How can I prevent injury? How can I make sure that I'm doing all the things that are needed as far as stretching, mobility, so that I can remain stronger longer?
Place because we all want to do that
Yeah.
as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And to be able to age in place, you have to be able to, navigate throughout your house comfortably, get from here to there. Maybe you have stairs, etc. So, yeah.
I think something else that people don't realize is, especially we have an extra set of eyes because we're in the home versus being outside. Sometimes it's the smallest thing that can be an accommodation that can help somebody. If you get up from a bed and let's say you really hurt your back every time you have to make that transition from here to here, right? There's something so simple. We've installed in multiple homes, a bed cane. It goes under the bed and it just gives you the ability to use your grip because you might have more hand strength versus your lower back to use in that transition. And that could make you more successful and then you avoid injury. So I think knowing that there's all these adaptations out there, we're not given the book of them. OTs
And
are,
I
PTs
feel like
are.
for so many people, well, they don't know because why would they know? Why would I
Right.
know this unless I had an issue and you came to my house and you helped me and I share it with
Right.
people. But for people who are living with discomfort because they simply don't realize there are accommodations, there's a better way to do it, an
Mhm.
easier way to do it. I feel like that would make you a good candidate for, Fox Rehab to come to your home.
Upon entry, and a lot of times a physician or somebody that is aware of the space might say a home safety evaluation is a really valuable thing. And we can always come out and do an evaluation and give any ideas or pointers or recommendations based on what we're seeing. So I think if the goal is to stay in your home, it's extremely important, right? If something's out there and I have the ability to get it or know about it, I want to
Right.
know. You know?
What some typical things, Loralee, typical reasons why we all know, all right, you had a hip replacement, a knee replacement, you might need physical therapy. But what are some reasons for speech therapy or occupational therapy that maybe people don't realize that where it would be helpful?
Yeah, so like you said, a traumatic event or a major injury or surgery is often something that, people are directed towards us.
Yes.
But any change in status, so even if they're, like we were saying before, decreased range of motion and inability to partake in activities as you did before is warranted. It's a change in status. And as long as there's that conversation with the doctor, I was doing this and I can't do it like this anymore, then it's warranted to have a skilled clinician come in and take a look with those set of eyes. I think in terms of speech, so a lot of times I think people don't realize this. You think speech, people think, oh, I can talk. I can in terms of articulation. But maybe you're having trouble while drinking, you're coughing, right? There are a lot of times where maybe a swallow a vowel or certain things are getting harder or breathing has changed, right? And if your breathing rate has changed or you're having trouble when you're bending down and doing certain things, that's not a normal progression. So
Right.
that too can be an indicator. In addition to, I would say, listen, as we're aging, the beginning signs of forgetfulness and dementia or any talk of that, where I'm noticing I don't remember how to do X, Y, and Z, cognitive rehab and OT for making adaptations, is extremely important as well, especially in those beginning moments where things are starting to change. So to answer your question, it's really any change from normal progression. And we often know it. We sometimes sit on it or we file it back or we ignore it until these major traumatic events occur. But any little pain or change of loss of range of motion, or like we said, the cognitive piece, the beginning of forgetfulness, more than like your average, over time. Not everybody is someone that makes lists or has post-its everywhere, but man, if you're not using a schedule as you age and you're combating some of these beginning signs and indicators, it's extremely valuable in a home setting, especially. All these tips and tricks that can help you remain successful. And it's basically exercise for your brain, right? Just like we're exercising the body in order to combat ageism, and what's going on, we need to do that with the mind as well.
So when you go into someone's home, and I always think, like visiting physicians and the visiting dentist, when you go into someone's home, you definitely get a unique perspective of what's happening in that person's life. But just for our listeners out there, what what are some things that you take notice of that you think to yourself, we have some issues here, that people who are listening, maybe this would be useful for them?
Sure. I think the safety piece, like I said, when you're walking
Just
into a home right away, you're looking at the safety part. And that could be safety as far as, oh, that's, God forbid something were to occur, like as far as something maybe placement. So I think all the time, where are things? Are they too high or too low? So if we're already worried about our balance and our gait, and we don't feel as strong when we navigate a space, if there's something too low, that means I have to bend forward. My whole, body is off, and now I'm adding to the problem essentially. So placement of things is very big. I mean, one of the first things, if you have experienced someone coming into your home in the health field, is probably rugs, right? So area rugs.
bugs without
Yeah,
us, and oh my God, they should be
huge trip
outlawed.
hazard. Huge trip hazard for the average person, let
Yes,
alone someone who
yes.
might now have a walker or a cane. So that's one of the first things like and listen, Andrea, this is someone's home, so it's a delicate thing. Someone might love and have an attachment to the rug that is on the floor. But understanding and reinforcing the fact that they might not be as successful over time if that is where it is. And the other thing when you said that I thought of, for me, it's OT wise, I'm always looking at those areas where we're doing either the self-care or in the kitchen. So if things are too high, right away, if we reach too high, if we have to get on our tiptoes, if you have to climb, we're already taking risks where they might not be necessary. So just rearranging things
Yes.
so that you're within, and even the shoulder you mentioned before. If you have decreased range of motion and you're constantly going to reach for something in an area that it gives you pain every time, someone that might be in their environment might not even think to move it because it's your space and that's how it's been. But if like the bed table, the side table by your bed, is huge too. If you're constantly twisting and you have lower back issues and you're reaching for the same thing, let's say plug in your phone, right? If it's not in if the way in which you're bending and moving is feeding an injury or contributing to pain, it needs to be changed. So sometimes it takes somebody else coming into these environments and saying, hey, we can change this, and you're not going to initiate that movement as much, and you're not going to feel
Right.
pain all the time, you
I think
know?
we get used to things, and the struggle with the night table or bending or reach, we get used to it and not even realizing that there's a way around this. So yeah. But I will share something that I had to do when I moved into my home here a few years ago. So I'm 5'1", and and by the way, and I did rearrange, I should say arrange all my kitchen things that are either at eye level or lower that I use all the time. So I learned that one. But the challenge was the washing machine because
Oh,
it's so freaking big and deep. I I couldn't get in there. How do you get your stuff out? Oh, it's fine to put your stuff in, but how do you get it out? So I thought, really, this is I just and then it all of a sudden hit me, and I bought a really nice grabber,
future. Yep.
a reacher, a grabber, and I
We use
keep
it
it.
all the time in treatment, and there's so many different kinds, and that alone made you more successful.
Oh my God.
Otherwise,
So
you'd fall in, Andrea.
there's always one sock. I can't get it. Well, a lot of things. So I keep it right at my in my little alcove where my washing machine is, and I pull out what I can reach. And then instead of stressing over it, I just get the grabber, the reacher, and you have to get a good one so it can lift up a towel,
Yep.
something
Yep.
decent. But I thought, all right, no
It's
problem.
a completely useful adaptation. And I think these things, I think part of what we do every day is making sure that you're continuing to partake in the activities that make you feel successful,
Right.
be independent, right? Because we all want to remain as independent as possible as long as possible. Not too many people I encounter really want to have someone
No,
do everything for them.
no,
Sense of pride. It's so much of who we are is in these activities that we do, these everyday tasks. So even as you're speaking, I'm literally thinking of a treatment session with a beautiful woman that I used to work with. She thought she was going to have to give up doing her laundry. And that was something that was important to her and for her to do for her husband. These were things that made her her. And all we needed to do was put a seat in front of her washer and dryer so that
right.
she could take the appropriate,
Yeah.
breaks needed because it require a lot of tasks as we age require more endurance than they ever did before. And that's the thing too. We do endurance training. We monitor vitals. We make sure that if we have to break down a task or segment it or put a chair down, a lot of people think in the kitchen I have to stand during a whole thing. Oh, I can't do that. It's too much. You do
Hmm.
not. You break it up so that you can be successful. But the placement of a chair, the incorporation of a reacher, and the placement of the basket was very important as well. And not having to carry the basket up and down
Right,
stairs.
right.
So all of these things, again, like you said, you might not see it, you might not know where to start. And we just hope that you know that someone is there to help you, take this on, because otherwise what I find is people just stop doing. And that is the worst thing that we can do is you
Right.
sit on the one chair and you watch the TV and you go to the kitchen and the bathroom and that's it. And then you go
Well,
to bed.
that one chair, the kitchen to the bathroom to the bed, that's your comfort area. And, again, there's no shame in needing an accommodation. Uh, you know, some of my friends who came in and said, well, why is there a reacher in your laundry area? Well, you're 5'8". You don't need one.
Right,
But I
right.
need, it's just a way of adjusting your life and your home to make it work for you and make it comfortable to live there. I mean, honestly, that's what life is about.
Yeah. So I think I'm thankful that you do this, Andrea, because I think people know what they know and they don't know what they don't know, right? So the things that, people think rehab, yes, we're doing the traditional rehab, right? But to get you to where? And the where piece is what do you want to be able to do that maybe is giving you difficulty or making or not allowing you to be successful in your everyday. And I think that those things are You just never want somebody to give up on those things.
No, don't give up. Don't be ashamed to make an accommodation to make your life easier, to make living in your house easier. And
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity to have someone like Fox to be able to come to your home and really see exactly how you live, because there might be something that you live there, you don't even notice that there's a little something, but then Loralee, you come in and you say, oh, wait a minute, this is no good. So
As polite and delicate as possible.
well, I
And
knew that.
and
I knew
also,
that.
Andrea, as we're talking, a lot of what we do too is caregiver training. Whether that's someone from outside of the home or a spouse or a child or a family member. So as we age, we do find that we rely on others, um, whether we want to or not. And I think no one is given the guidebook here. This is how you take
No.
care of somebody. This is how you navigate injury. This is now how you navigate life after injury. So having someone that, number one, knows resources, and number two, can help facilitate and help you train so that you can be more successful as a caregiver is also really, really important.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it
Yeah,
really does. Well, Loralee, thank you so much for sharing this time with me today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Andrea.
thank you. All right, everyone. Remember, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on Scan FYI. And bye, everyone. And bye, Loralee.
Bye. See you soon.